Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to this week's Everton show. It's all been rather quiet down at Finch Farm this week with the majority of the first team squad away on international duty. Actually, most of the 21s are away as well, such as the strength of David Unsworth's team right now. However, I'm delighted to say that back in Blighty after a club trip to South Africa, back safe and sound is Graham Stewart. What was it like, South Africa?
A terrific place, Darren. Really, really good. It's probably one of the best places I've ever been to in my life, I would say. Really picturesque. Great beaches. Not that I saw them, of course. I was too busy working, but you know, obviously the backdrop of Table Mountain and what have you, and the people were very hospitable to us as well.
It was a Premier League event, wasn't
it? Yeah, similar to what we did in India last year in Mumbai. They took it to Cape Town. They show all the Premier League games over the course of the weekend, of which we were obviously the first one, the Arsenal game. And every Premier League club gets their own, it's like a big tented village. And there's different bits and pieces going on, and you get a chance to showcase Everton Football Club, which we did to our best.
Great to profile the Premier League, isn't it?
Of course.
Great to see Lionel Richie as well, which,
yeah.
which you did. Plenty more to come from the Diamond in this week's programme. We've got no Premier League action to assess this coming weekend, of course, but it's still another busy Everton hour.
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed the tour, the training ground. It was built in the mid-80s, but still a fantastic facility. And the lads were telling us they're moving to a new training ground shortly that's cost them 250 million to build.
To see all the young Evertonians, it was great, and they had some good questions for me. And you know, I'm happy to come out and put a smile on their face, and hopefully they were happy to see me.
You see it happen to people, and you see people come back, and obviously them players are doing so well at the minute, it's no reason why I can't come back and do well.
Historically, Everton have always played good football, but also at a tempo, and their young players have a good mentality as well. So that you couldn't ask for any more from youngsters coming into our system, and that definitely aligns with what we're trying to do.
Well, after 10 years between the Goodison Park sticks, Tim Howard announced recently that he's calling time on his Everton career to wind things down back on his own side of the Atlantic. He's swapping the Blues for Colorado Rapids, and in part 3 of this week's show, Tim Howard will fill our big interview slots. This is just a little taste of what he's got to say.
Yeah, this will always be my team. This will always be my club. Like I said, I've sacrificed so much to play the amount of games that I have, and to be focused for a 10-year period on getting results, and a lot goes into it. There's a lot of sacrifice, and so I'd be remiss to not continue to support this club that I love.
Well, the man who inherited Tim Howard when he arrived at Everton, Roberto Martinez, has spoken very appreciatively about the goalkeeper who has represented the club so very well for so long. The boss, of course, made the tough decision to hand Joel Robles a regular starting berth a few weeks ago, but that certainly hasn't diminished the respect that he has for the American.
Such an incredible character that it'll be different people that they can give you different angles and different perception of how special he's been with his time at Everton. I'm sure now is a new chapter, and I think we all very much looking forward to wrap up his time at Everton and making it a celebration. I think from now till the end of the season, we all should appreciate what Tim Howard has done over the 10 seasons that he's been with the football club. I think you get into certain players that their contribution goes a little bit further than starting in the lineup or not. I think Tim is probably the perfect case on that. It's such an influence with the young players. We had a really good group of young players coming through in the last 2.5 years or 3 years, and he's been a vital figure on allowing these players to feel Everton, to feel supported and to understand what it takes to play in the team. And then just clearly in a pure goalkeeping sense, his level 3 seasons ago where we reached the Premier League points tally, he was one of the best seasons that he's had. And from that point on, he's always helped Joel, he's introduced him to what it takes to play for Everton. And his contribution over the 10 years has been very consistent, and his figures just reflect that, the amount of clean sheets that is achieved in the Premier League, the amount of games that he's played for Everton. I think he'll always be remembered, and probably he'll be more the figures will be given a bigger respect once he's gone and we all look back in his achievements. Now it's time to thank him, it's time to have a celebration over the next few weeks and making sure that he knows how much we appreciate him and how thankful we are of his role in the last 10 seasons.
And as you say, an ambassador for Everton, he's going to the MLS. We can assume he's going to be a big deal out there, and to have somebody like that flying the flag for Everton can only be a good thing.
Yes, and we know we got a lot of following and a big Everton community in the USA following us because they were introduced into our football club through Tim Howard and other Americans, but clearly Tim Howard has been the most significant ambassador that we had. I think now it's going to be in the other way around, an Evertonian playing in the MLS, and that link will always be there. I just feel that he will carry the name of Everton wherever he goes and the way that he performs, and he's still a very young goalkeeper. Yes, his age gives him a huge amount of games and a huge amount of experience, but the way he looks after himself and the way he trains and the way he looks after his body, I think he's still got the 2 very, very, very good years, which would allow him to represent USA in the next World Cup, and that will be an incredible career to wrap up with that achievement at the end of it.
Graham, as an Evertonian and a former player in the Premier League, you as well as anyone will appreciate what Tim Howard has brought to Everton Football Club on the pitch and in the dressing room, crucially.
Yeah, very much so, Darren. I mean, his performance level over the period of 10 years we've had him at this football club has been top drawer, it really has. But off the park, which is what the supporters don't get to see as much, you know, he's a really influential figure in that dressing room. You know, especially, you know, with the crop of young players that we have now, I'm sure they look up to Tim. And, you know, it's always the goalkeepers' union. So over the period of time where you've had so many keepers at the club over the 10-year period, you know, Tim and his fellow keepers have, you know, no doubt had a real strong bond between them. And they would have learnt very much from Tim. And as the gaffer mentioned, the way he looks after his body, his attitude, everything about, you know, making somebody, you know, capable of playing for that longevity.
How's he been with you? How's he been with the ambassadors?
He's been terrific, as have all the lads, to be totally honest with you, Darren. All the lads have been brilliant with us, but, you know, Tim's you know, a real figurehead of the football club, and he's going to be a terrific ambassador for our club out in the USA. There's no doubt about that. But Snod Sharpie, myself, you know, hugely respectful to Tim, and he returns that to us as well.
It's a good move for him, isn't it, to go to the MLS now while he can still perform?
I think so. I think it makes him feel comfortable. It makes perfect sense. You know, it gives Joel an opportunity to get a string of games together. But, you know, obviously I would guess that we'll probably have to dip into the transfer market as well.
And he's got one eye on the World Cup of 2018 as well, of course, Tim Howard, so he needs to play. Well, the last Premier League game at Goodison Park may have ended in defeat against Arsenal, but for some of our junior supporters, it was still very much a day to remember. We had junior stadium announcers, junior ground staff, even 4 junior drifters, and they did superbly well, by the way, with their half-time dance routine. It was all part of a terrific day for the Everton kids.
Thanks, Darren. It's a big game today. Are you looking forward to the match?
I really am looking forward to it.
We've had some fantastic junior fans here doing their jobs, and none more so than yourself. You're doing a fantastic job by all accounts, and hopefully we'll see you back at Goodison very, very soon. You never know, working for Everton TV or even Sky.
This is Will reporting for Everton, signing off.
You can't engage with the fans early enough, Diamond. Although you were over in South Africa, you've been involved in Junior Fan Day before, and it's fantastic, isn't it?
It is. It's brilliant. It's great to see the smiles on these kids' faces. What an opportunity for them to experience a match day and do all the jobs there. I mean, you know, look at a young lad like I'm sure that was a baptism of fire working with Jimmy Martin, that's for sure. So he won't forget that day.
The junior drifters, the kids we had on the pitch, done their dance routine in front of the actual drifters, and you missed that. They were terrific.
I believe they were, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I had to settle for Lionel Richie, Daz. He was. We didn't know it was happening, actually. He was actually playing the second night we were there at Ajax Cape Town's ground, which was literally across the road from our hotel. Fair play to Premier League and Barclays. They whipped together and got some tickets. He was outstanding.
I bet he was. Did the South African people embrace the Premier League show?
They did. They really did. I mean, they hugely enjoyed it. They came in such vast quantities as well. I mean, they really enjoyed it. We had a big banner of Stephen Pienaar, obviously, and they absolutely adore him. What a hero he is out there.
Absolutely big name out there, isn't he? And that brings us nicely to the conclusion of the first segment of this week's Everton show. Don't go away, though, because coming up after this short break, we'll hear from Kevin Sheedy, who's over in Dallas, Seamus Coleman, who was at a Liverpool primary school, and under-21 striker Sam Byrne, who was in a Finch Farm dressing room on a pair of crutches. Welcome back to the second part of this week's programme. Now, we've got an academy team over in Texas just at the moment taking part in the prestigious Dallas Cup competition. The Young Blues won 2 of their 3 group games and will now face FC Dallas in the semi-final on Saturday. Kevin Sheedy is in charge of our lads, and during a rare couple of hours off, he was invited to check out the Dallas Cowboys' very impressive training facility.
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed the tour, the training ground. It was built in the mid-80s, but still a fantastic facility. And the lads were telling us they're moving to a new training ground shortly. That's cost them $250 million to build, so that would be a fantastic facility. But you know, the tradition in this training ground, you know, when you go through the main reception and you see the history of the Super Bowl, the main players and the Super Bowl rings and all the history that goes to it. So it's a lot of fantastic memories in that building.
And the staff were so welcoming as well, showing us around. We met several members of staff.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, so polite, and they were, you know, they weren't rushing around. They were answering all our questions, and you know, really polite and really, you know, proud of the club that they work for. So it was a really enjoyable afternoon.
And for yourself, do you enjoy coming to places like this, just simply from a coaching perspective, to see how other sports operate and any ideas you can possibly pick up?
Indeed, you're always looking for new ideas, and I mean the amount of staff that they've got here, and the amount of players, you know, and the size of the players, you know, 6'7", 24 stone, you know, and they're all power. So you know, we saw, you know, the weight gym where they're working out. We spoke to the fitness coaches there, and you know, everyone was so nice, and you know, wanted to speak to us. So it was really good, a really good experience.
And finally, Kevin, it was great that you yourself was able to hand over a pennant to one of their star players, Des Bryant.
Yes. Top player, so again, I'm looking up to him, sort of thing. He's a monster, but yeah, no, really nice to meet someone of that calibre and present him with an Everton souvenir. So yeah, it was a really good day.
It looked as if Sheeds and the boys enjoyed that, and why not? If you're out of the country and you do get the opportunity to see how other sports teams operate, you've got to take it, haven't you?
Of course you have, yeah. I mean, all part of the learning curve. Even, you know, Sheeds there as a coach, I'm sure he's always willing to learn and have a look at the way other, you know, sports and other academies do things. So, you know, the magnitude of that place, the Dallas Cowboys there, I mean, it looked massive, didn't it?
Looked some setup, didn't it? But it has to be for the size of the players, I suppose.
Well, it does as well, you know, and they mentioned there the size of these players that, you know, I'm sure that it'd be interesting to see the weight programs they have and all the analysts we have at the football club and the fitness trainers and what have you like that. You take that and make comparisons and see what's what. It's quite an interesting thing to do, I would guess.
We spoke about the MLS briefly before when regards to Tim going to Colorado Rapids. There are some big names going over to the MLS now. It's only going to get stronger, isn't it, I would think?
I think so. It's an attraction, isn't it? Let's be honest about it. If you're coming to the end of your career here in the Premier League, you know, there's a huge attraction. China seem to be throwing all kinds of money at players to get them over there, but as a place to go, I think for me, the States is as good as it gets. I mean, the MLS will get stronger. It is getting stronger. And there's a definite enthusiasm for football over there, or should we say soccer, Daz?
Soccer over there, isn't it?
Of course.
As you say, the guys going to China, they're surely going for the money.
Yeah.
But the boys going to the MLS, there is a decent standard and the facilities are first class. And as you say, the enthusiasm for the sport is just on the up.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, at the end of the, you know, you've got these Premier League boys have had, you know, if they played 15 years in Premier League football, they're not short of a few bob, let's be honest about it. So do you really have to go and chase a dollar in China? I think if you're a family man and you've got to take your family out there, the MLS is a perfect opportunity for you.
And very quickly, it'd be nice if Sheeds and the boys can win the Dallas Cup.
Yeah, exactly. To get to the semi-finals is a feat in itself, but same with the first team. If you've got an opportunity, don't ignore it. Take it while you can, because they don't come up very often.
Let's go all the way and try and win it. Well, Seamus Coleman is at this moment in time preparing to be a part of the Republic of Ireland squad that we'll be hoping to see off Switzerland and Slovakia in their 2 friendlies over in Dublin this weekend. Seamus is surely certain to be in Martin O'Neill's starting 11 when the Euros come around in the summer. And before he left to join the rest of the boys in green, Seamus visited the Everton School Supporters Club at Evelyn County Primary School.
Yeah, it's been great to come out and meet all the students, and the teachers have all been lovely and made me feel very welcome. And I met a few students who told me what they want to do when they grow up, which was a lot of interesting answers, and a few students with business plans, which was very interesting as well. And got to see the Everton Supporters Club here and really enjoyed it. As I said, all the students were lovely and the teachers as well, and it's always a pleasure to come out.
You mentioned the Supporters Club there. It's a great initiative, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Come in and I've seen all old matchday programmes and old Everton shirts, and to see all the young Evertonians, it was great. And they had some good questions for me, and I'm happy to come out and put a smile on their face, and hopefully they were happy to see me.
Oh, it's been absolutely brilliant. We've been hardly able to contain ourselves all week, and we've had a wonderful hour or two with him. Really have.
The kids have looked like they've enjoyed it as well.
Oh, they have. They've thoroughly enjoyed it. And because Seamus has been so patient, so listening to everything they had to say, nothing's been too much trouble for him. So I think he's made it, really.
That was Seamus Coleman there at Evelyn County Primary. And while we're on the subject of schools, I promised my new pals at Leamington Primary School in Norris Green that I'd give them all a mention this week. Ian Snowden and myself called in on Tuesday to see the pupils, and I tell you what, they were terrific. So a big hello to all the children and the staff, of course, at Leamington Primary. It was great to see you. Diamond, one of the privileges of our job is getting out and about and seeing the kids, isn't it? Seamus was terrific. You and I have been out to schools as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful job that we've got. It's an honour to go out and see the kids, and they have, they've always got a smile on their face. I mean, we've been at events with Seamus, and he's a very approachable guy, very friendly. He speaks very well, and the thing is, he's got a huge influence. They look up to people like Seamus Coleman, so, I'm sure they all had a great time.
2 friendlies for Ireland this weekend. Switzerland first, then Slovakia. Just come home safe and sound, that's all we want.
Say it every time, they don't go away. All the lads, please come home safe and sound, go out, and I'm sure, as ever, they're proud to represent their country. They're playing for their places for the Euros as well, so they want to impress, certainly. But, you can't wrap them up in cotton wool, but you certainly got your fingers crossed over the next few days.
And to be fair to the national coaches, they need friendlies, don't they?
Well, they do. I mean, they've got a job to be done in the summer as well. They're going to want to, fine-tune their starting 11s and the tactics that they're going to use in Euro 2016. So, we've got to give them their dues. But again, make sure they come home safe.
Seamus is a certain starter, isn't he? He's certain to go anyway, surely.
100% certain to go, and I would say 99.9 to start. There's no guarantees in life, but, certainly Seamus is as close to you're going to get, I would have thought.
And James McCarthy as well, which always gives us a bit of interest, doesn't it, when we've got players from Everton with other countries?
Well, very much so. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching the tournament as a whole. It's great when there's a tournament in the summer. I mean, we absolutely adore it, don't we? Because, that 6 weeks with no Premier League football, you're scratching your head thinking, what am I going to do? But when you've got the Euros to watch, that's going to be brilliant. And a lot of our players are obviously representing their countries.
Very quickly, can England win it?
They can. But the Germans always come good, so do the Italians. I think it's tough, but there's a chance.
Good luck to the Irish and the English and all our boys over there. Well, before we leave the subject of Irish football, I sat down recently with our under-21 striker, Sam Byrne. The Blues centre-forward suffered a horrific leg break during a freak training ground accident, but he's back at Finch Farm now, and he's ready to take the first few tentative steps on the long, long road to recovery.
Don't obviously feel 100%, but no, I feel as well as I could be, yeah.
What do you recall of what was a freak accident?
Just, as you said, it was just a freak, not a bad tackle, nothing like that. Just my leg just got caught underneath, and all my weight was on my left leg, and it just happened, and that was it,
There's never a good time to break your leg as a young footballer, but you were in good nick. You were scoring goals and playing well, leading the line well.
Yeah, I was in good form, and as you said, there's never a good time for it to happen, but it's happened now, and I just need to get back into scoring goals whenever I get back.
David Unsworth was terrific with you, wasn't he, when it happened?
Unbelievable, yeah, unbelievable. The support from everybody here was unbelievable. You know.
I mean, that's one of the benefits of this place at Finch Farm. Everything's in place to give you all the support that you need.
Yeah, you know, everything was there. You know, from the minute it happened. I think we were on the very back pitch, you know, and I think all the physio and stuff were out within 2 minutes. You know, it was unbelievable how quick they got there. You know,
You were operated on pretty quickly, Sam, weren't you?
The next day, yeah, went in and got like a cast on it, and then had the operation straight away the following morning. So.
Just 24 hours later, I had the pleasure of showing some of the Irish toffees around Finch Farm, and they were gutted by the news. They sent their support, so you're not short of support over the Irish
yeah,
side either.
Definitely. You know, they're very good to me, you know, over there, and with the support they've shown as well. Obviously, I've seen it and stuff on the internet, and so thanks to them, you know, for their support as well. You know.
You're clearly still determined to come back even stronger and still get the chance to prove yourself here at Everton.
Yeah, I think, you know, this gives me an opportunity as well in the gym and stuff like that to come back even stronger than what I was before and hit the ground running, hopefully, when I get back.
We were speaking before about the likes of Peter Reid and Ross Barkley and Brian Oviedo and Conor McElhaney. They've all come back from injuries like this, which must be a slight source of inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you see it happen to people, and you see people come back, and obviously them players are doing so well at the minute, you know, it's no reason why I can't come back and do well.
Sam Byrne, like all the 21s, is a cracking lad. He's a really positive boy, and he's going to need to be, isn't he?
Well, he is. I mean, it's a difficult time for any player when you pick up a nasty injury, and certainly Sam's is right up there, you know, in terms of nasty injuries. But difficult because he was playing well, as you mentioned there, Darren. He was scoring goals as well, and sometimes football can be a cruel game. But Sam looks like he's, you know, mentally quite strong. You know, he's 20 years of age, I think, so, you know, he's got plenty of time ahead of him. I mean, that's what he's got to remember. It's a knockback, it's a bit of a setback, but, you know, he's got plenty of time to recover and pursue a terrific career, hopefully.
And I'm sure David Unsworth will bring Ross Barkley in to speak to him, because Ross, of course, had a couple of bad injuries when he was even younger, and look how he's bounced back.
Well, Ross is the perfect guy to speak to, isn't he? You know, he's been through the situation. He's been through the rehab of difficult injuries, so I'm sure Sam can talk to Ross. Ross will be delighted to talk to him, and he'll say the same things. You know, be positive. You know, work extra hard in that gym. I think that's the secret, to work super hard, and you come back fitter and stronger in a lot of cases.
I suppose it's important, though, not to push yourself too quickly. He's got to listen to what the physios say, otherwise it could be one step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, Sam said in the VT there, everything's in place at Finch Farm, but the key is to not go too soon. You know, just sit tight and, you know, do what you're told, but don't get ahead of yourself, and, you know, work hard, do everything that you need to do, but don't run before you can walk.
He will be back nice and strong. Everything's in place for him at Finch Farm. Well, it's half time now in this week's Everton show. Time for a brew, or maybe even a beer if it's the Friday night programme that you're watching. And when we come back, we'll sit down with the man whose Blues career is coming to an end. Don't miss the always thoughtful, always insightful Tim Howard. Tim Howard's 412 appearances for Everton put him in 13th place in the all-time list. And as he's just 16 games behind 12th place Tommy Eglinton, he now knows he's not going to go any higher. That's because when the curtain falls on the 2015-16 campaign, Tim is waving a final goodbye to Goodison Park, Finch Farm and all that goes with it. And he's heading back to the United States of America. He's signing for Colorado Rapids, and he sat down at Finch Farm earlier this week to do our big interview.
I've been at Everton 10 years. It's been a brilliant 10 years. And I just, you know, I spoke to my family. I spoke to Roberto, and I spoke to Bill Kenwright, the chairman. And we've had brilliant discussions. And we just all kind of thought this was the right move and the right time. And they supported my decision, you know. It's difficult to speak about personal conversations that I've had with those guys, but they've always been 100% committed to me and appreciated the fact that it was time for me to go back home and play my football.
I guess as a player, it's vital that you have that support and understanding from the manager and the chairman.
Yes, you know, I always think business should be done face to face. I think it should be done in a respectful way. You know, every day isn't perfect, but I think when you have respect, you know, as individuals, we can look each other in the eye and have honest conversations. And like I said, it's you know, I would play at Everton forever and ever and ever if I could, but that's, you know, that's not the way football works. So you know, it's been brilliant. There's a few more months left, which I'm excited about because, you know, I realize that it's coming to an end. So, you know, obviously be able to get my head down and enjoy those.
Tell us a little bit about Colorado, the attraction, because there's a few names that people might know as well over there. Isn't there?
Yeah, there's, you know, it's a club who has had success. They've won they're one of the few franchises that have won an MLS championship, and they're looking to get back to those heights, and they want to sign some new players, some fresh blood, you know, try and get the fans excited by not only those signings but also winning games. And you know, Kevin Doyle is over there, and he's one of their top players, so it's exciting to link back up with those guys.
Difficult question probably to throw at you at this stage, but I mean, how do you reflect on 10 seasons at Everton and all that's happened in that time?
You know, I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky. You know, from day one, you know, when I spoke to David Moyes and he brought me here, and then getting to meet the chairman and meet some of the players, you know, who I played against over the couple seasons that I've been in England, and then of course Roberto and his staff. You know, I remember coming in day one nervous because, you know, there was this excitement about being at a new club, and obviously the fans, and I'd always heard about the fans and winning them over, and it's been brilliant. You know, they've been inspirational to me, and obviously my teammates as well. So, like I just said, I'm lucky. I remember stepping foot in a door in 2006, and like to be here 10 years later. Yeah, I'm very blessed.
What will be the key moments on the pitch that you'll remember?
Gosh, you know, I think I was looking forward to my first derby, you know, which we ended up winning at Goodison 3-0. You know, the cup final in 2009, when Louis scored early on. Obviously, the semi-final, you know, beating Manchester United. We've had some fabulous European nights. You know, I think that I actually enjoyed those a lot. You know, the traveling with the boys to different countries and seeing the different stadiums, and you know, looking out the hotel window and seeing all the Evertonians in the town squares in these foreign countries, and knowing that we had their support. It's been some good times.
How much will you miss the players, the club, the staff, the stadium? How much will that affect you?
I miss it a lot. This is home. I grew up here, you know. I was to stay 10 years at any place is a long time, and this has become, without doubt, my family. You know, you see the same faces every single day. You have respect for them. You have love for them. You have a great working relationship. This is home, so of course I'll miss it.
How will you approach this period between now and the end of the season? Because you're not done yet, are you?
No, listen, I think that's the easy part. Anytime you're a player and you strap your gloves on and tie your boots, you just go out and perform, and you play, you work hard and train, you be a good teammate. That's no different at any club for my country. That's the easy part. So yeah, it'll be sad because I know, you know, in 8 weeks' time it'll finish, but at the same time, I go out there, put it on autopilot, and enjoy it.
The manager's spoken really strongly about the influence that you have about the place and with the young players. Is that something that comes naturally to you? Is that something that you deliberately try and do around?
Well, I think it's something that you grow into. You know, as your experience takes you to higher heights, you try and use that experience, you know, to help younger players to be a calming voice, to be a consistent character within the four walls of the dressing room or the training ground. You know, I think it's important. It's something that, as a goalkeeper, you have to have naturally. You have to be a leader, but it's also something, as I said, I've learned over the course of time.
Will you remain an Evertonian for life now?
Of course. Yeah, this will always be my team. This will always be my club. You know, like I said, I've sacrificed so much to play the amount of games that I have, and to, you know, to be focused for a 10-year period on getting results, and a lot goes into it. There's a lot of sacrifice, you know, and so I'd be remiss to not continue to support this club that I love. You know, yeah, I'll be the times will be different. You know what I mean? Because I'll be 7 hours away. But I'll still be following the results all the time.
And everywhere you go in America, you're still going to be getting spoken to by Evertonians wanting to talk about this club.
Yeah, well, yeah. Listen, I'll always be an Everton player. You know, this club is amazing. I love it. You know, I've said that from day one, and you know, it's even truer now.
You played with lots of different goalkeepers alongside you in training during your time here. Joel's the guy that's in line to take over from you now. Are you confident you can take that on?
Yeah, you know, I think it's been a long time coming. You know, that had been one of the knocks on Everton is we just weren't able to produce goalkeepers or bring goalkeepers through. And yeah, you know, I think Joel's he's more than anything. What I like about him is his character. You know, I always judge goalkeepers based on that. Saves are important, of course. That's your bread and butter, but your character on how you handle playing game after game, good situations, bad situations, and I like his temperament.
Graham, how easy a decision or how difficult a decision will this have all been for Tim Howard?
I think it would be an incredibly difficult decision for him. I mean, you just listen to him talking about his admiration for Everton Football Club as a whole. You know, playing with an amount of players and, you know, the management staff over the years. You know, it's a big decision to leave all that behind you and all those terrific memories. So I'm sure it's with a heavy heart, but again, it's probably the right time. It's just something clicks in you as a player when you just know perhaps your time's up, whether it be a football club and moving on or whether it becomes retirement as a whole. So, you know, I think he's made the right decision. I'm sure he's looking forward to a new opportunity for him and his family.
Some players don't make the right decision, do they? And they do go on a little bit too long, which can be a shame.
I think that's the secret, and that's why I say about it, it's just something in your subconscious that makes you feel like this is the time. It's 10 years, 400 odd games, you know, the standards he's set, you know, to do that for 10 years is monumental, really. And I hope we really, really enjoyed him for the next few months that he's with our football club, because he's been outstanding.
He deserves to be seen away from Everton with the utmost respect, and hopefully the criticism that he has attracted of late will now subside.
Yeah, I think that's more of a situation with the season as a whole, especially at home. It's been a little bit depressing at home, results-wise, hasn't it? I mean, let's be honest about it. You know, perhaps some of the performances, you know, haven't warranted some of the results, but you know, you always look for a scapegoat. It's a natural thing in a human being to look for a scapegoat sometimes. And I think Tim's been that man, unfortunately. But I think, in fairness to all Evertonians, over the course of time, they recognise that he's been terrific for our football club, and I'm sure they'll show him that over the next few months.
Will it be difficult for him to adapt after being at one club for so long?
I think it'll be easier for him, the fact that he's going to be out in the States at home. And I think he's going to be part of a new revolution, hopefully, for the Colorado Rapids. So I think he'll be absolutely fine. He's got bags of experience and charisma.
Absolutely. We wish him well. Well, the man who was charged with trying to dislodge Tim Howard from the Goodison goalmouth and has finally managed it after almost 3 years of trying is Joel Robles. The young Spaniard is happy to be the current first choice, obviously, but he explains just how much he owes to his predecessor.
Yeah, I am very happy, of course. When we are play every game, I am very happy, but I don't think more than you are number one for every game. No. My objective is game by game. If Gaffer say you play this game, okay, I am ready. I'm here to my team.
I think the reason why I always love goalkeepers is because there's 2 or 3 of you at a club going for one place, but you always seem to have a really special relationship with each other. I think you had it at Wigan with Ali, and you seem to have it here with Tim. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think for the keepers it's important. No, training together every day is impossible. No, any problem with Tim. He is really good guy and professional for me. He's good example for everyone, and especially for me. And for me, it's important thing in my career at the moment.
Do you chat with each other in terms of when you start? Does the dynamic change how you talk to each other in terms of preparation or not?
Yeah, sometimes he says very quiet and believe and enjoy the moment.
But a good guy.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
And someone in terms of learning, I'm sure he's taken you a lot further, has he?
Yes, for me now team is really important for my career.
Diamond, it goes without saying, Tim Howard's gloves are a pretty big pair to fill. Are the Goodison gloves in safe enough hands with Joel Robles?
I think Joel's come in and done really well. You know, it's all about seizing the moment. He's got a great opportunity now. He knows Tim's, you know, going to hop over the pond, and it's up to Joel now to prove to everybody that he's the man to take us forward in the future. Only Joel can answer that question.
Absolutely. And that's it for part 3 of this week's programme. There'll be an international flavour to the fourth and final segment of the show when we feature England under-21 coach Gareth Southgate, England under-21 hopeful Brendan Galloway, and the manager Roberto Martinez talks about the Everton internationals who are away on parade this week. Welcome back to the final part of this week's show. The focus now is on the final international break of the current season. England under-21 coach Gareth Southgate was at Goodison Park recently to meet the coaches and reflect on the stream of talent that our academy produces.
I think through all of the age groups with England we've got Everton representation right the way through, and it's been great to catch up with Joe Royal and Dave Unsworth today just to talk about some of those younger players in particular, and then obviously with the first team, you know, keep an eye on a couple for Roy as well. So it's really encouraging when a club have so many good young English players coming through the system.
You mentioned Joe and David Unsworth there. How important is it for you to have good connections with Premier League clubs?
Yeah, really important. You know, it's important that we understand where the players are at, what their form is, what sort of characters they are. I have to say, you know, the boys that we have with Everton are very good character-wise. That's a common trait with the players that we've selected from here. So, but nevertheless, form ebbs and flows, and it's important that we're on top of that. You know, we want to reinforce the messages that the club give.
In terms of the England under-21s, the Evertonians that you do have involved, it obviously varies from term to term, but a good selection to pick from.
Yeah, I mean, we had John, which was a great success last year. I think he enjoyed his time with us, and hopefully we played a small part in his progression as well. And we had really good discussions with Graham and Roberto on him right the way through. This year we've had Tyus, who unfortunately hasn't really been able to get fit for us, and Brendan, who also, both times we've picked him, hasn't been fully fit. So I'm hoping that Brendan will be with us in March.
It's good for them to know that you're always watching it. In terms of how Everton play, and obviously the youth groups here, does that fit in with the England philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, I think historically Everton have always played good football, but also at a tempo, and you know, their young players have a good mentality as well. So that you couldn't ask for any more from youngsters coming into our system, and that definitely aligns with what we're trying to do.
Graham, how important is it as a football club to have your young players in the under-21s and the under-20s, 19s and 18s as well away on international duty?
Well, it is vital because it's about progression for them as a human being and as a footballer, because they go away to visit different countries, they get experiences of playing international football, which hold them in good stead, hopefully, for when they progress into the first team at our football club.
Would you always give a young player a period in the 21s before you elevate him to the senior squad, your Dele Allis, your Ross Barkleys?
Yeah, I think it helps. Certainly, there's no doubt about that. I mean, obviously, somewhere along the line, there's going to be an absolute golden nugget who you want to elevate into the first team as quickly as you possibly can. But in the main, it's about building these players up and their experiences. And you know, the biggest thing for me there is Gareth talking about the characters of the lads at Everton, and he finds it a common trait that they're all good characters, because that's every bit as vital as all the ability in the world. You've got to be a good character. You've got to be able to deal with situations, and it sounds like we're doing a pretty good job on that side of things.
Yeah, always good to see our young players represent their respective countries. Well, one Everton player who will be hoping to impress Gareth Southgate when England under-21s prepare for their Swiss counterparts this Saturday in a European 2017 qualifier is Brendan Galloway. The Blues defender is yet to make his bow at under-21 level, but he's looking forward to meeting up with the England boys again this weekend.
I'm looking forward to meeting back up with the lads and continuing the under-21 Euro qualifiers.
Where do you stand at the moment in those qualifiers?
Well, we've won 2, drawn 1, so I think that, you know, we're all ready to keep that winning mentality going and keep on top in the group, as that's what the aim is.
You missed out on your debut last time. Are you hoping to make it this time?
Yeah, you know, got injured unfortunately, but those things happen. But I'm back and I'm fit now, so looking forward to getting good sessions with them and hopefully making my debut.
Good set of lads there?
Yeah, nice set of lads all around the Premier League, Championship. You know, it's good, nice set of lads, get on really well with them.
And what about the manager as well? Get on with him?
Yeah, he's a really good manager. Used to watch him a lot when he was playing, and he's a really good manager.
I suppose being a former defender, he can teach you the ins and outs, can't he?
Yeah, he does, and he talks to you on a one-on-one basis about how you're doing at club level, which is really important. And then on the pitch, I think that he's a really good manager. His record shows, I think that apart from in the actual competition or the qualifiers, they've always managed to qualify for the big stages, and they've always won most of the games, so looking forward to meeting back up with them.
Obviously, you're with Everton for most of the season. Is it nice to have these little breaks every now and again?
Yeah, it is. Something different, meeting up with different people from different clubs. It's always nice, and yeah.
And obviously, you've been in and out the group at the moment. A few games for the 21s. Be nice to get some game time as well.
Yeah, it would be nice to make my debut. It's always a good moment playing for your country, no matter what level. So hopefully gonna get the debut and then many more.
This fellow Brendan Galloway, Graham, will surely have learned so much this season, because it's been a strange sort of season for the boys. He's had a bit of everything, hasn't he?
He has, and he will learn from it. That's the important thing. But he's a terrific guy, Brendan. He's got an old head on young shoulders, and he recognises it. He's got plenty of time in the game, but he had a real good start of the season. I mean, he probably didn't feel that he was going to get that opportunity straight away, but it was thrust in front of him. He took it. He did really, really well. And then obviously, picked up a couple of knocks, and hasn't really managed to get himself back into the first starting 11, has he?
He was even played of the month at one stage,
Well,
wasn't he?
he was as well. So, but we know that he's got capabilities, Brendan, so definitely one for the future.
Just very quickly, Graham, while we're speaking about international football, really sad to learn of the passing this week of Johan Cruyff.
Yeah, very sad. I mean, he is a living legend of the game, isn't he? And, at least up and down around the world, really. You've got players doing that famous Cruyff turn, and, he'll always be in our thoughts, that's for sure.
He will be missed around the world of football. Right, let's leave the final word on this week's show to the boss. Roberto Martinez will doubtless be watching the games through one eye when his players are doing their bit for their respective countries, hoping, of course, that they do well, but that they avoid injury. Before this international break, the boss was also asked about the England omissions of Leighton Baines, Gareth Barry and Aaron Lennon.
We know how well they've been performing. I think Leighton Baines has been performing in a very consistent level for 4 years. Aaron Lennon has been very impressive this season, and the way that he is at the moment, probably in form, is a player that he can give you a lot. Tom Cleverley, again, his experience, his versatility is always important for any squad, but that's where the national team manager, Roy Hodgson, has to make the selections and select a balanced team that he can play the way that he wants to play, and we're all here to try to help that scenario. And what we're very, very pleased is our English players. We've got a big amount of English players playing big roles in our team, and they'll always be ready and proud to represent their country. But I think the only thing we can concentrate is that these players are at the best possible level, and I think it's fair to say that these players are fulfilling really important roles and good moments of form, which we all see in every game that they are involved in.
3 players in England's under-18 squad, 3 in the under-19s. Brendan Galloway's with the 21s. It's not just England. There's players across the academy away with their countries as well.
Yeah, no, I think we're very pleased with that age group. In the British game, we always found a big gap, the age of 19 all the way to 21, 22. I'm pleased that we got a structure in place that looks after the well-being of these players and the development of these players. And you get the example when they get called up by the national teams and they see how well they are developing. And I think it's fair to say that we always pride ourselves in that sort of development, and the whole structure are doing a really good job in the academy. Obviously with Joe Roll and David Unsworth in the final stage of that development is a really important period that we push the players into the best that we can, because they're going to get opportunities in the first team, that's for sure.
Graham, are you a little bit disappointed that Aaron Lennon didn't get a shout?
I am. I'm disappointed for Aaron, because I think on current form, he's as good a wide man as I've been seeing in the Premier League. That's for certain. So disappointing for him. Disappointed for Leighton. I think probably Leighton's the effect of the fact that he's been out for such a long time, and he's probably just about getting up to full speed now. So I mean, I'm sure Leighton's still got an eye on making that European squad. And Gareth Barry, again, he's another one who's been hugely consistent, but age has gone against Gareth. That's the only thing for me.
If he keeps going, Aaron Lennon, in the form he showed recently, he's got the best chance of the lot, hasn't he?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, especially on the back of Raheem Sterling being, supposedly out for 8 weeks as well. So you would imagine that Roy Hodgson's going to have to try and fill a berth there. And as I say, I think he's in terrific form. He's worth an opportunity.
And a winger who puts a shift in, creates goals, and crucially, scores them as well.
Yeah, full package, isn't it? So, I mean, and I think we make the mistake sometimes as a country whereby we just decide they're the best players, as opposed to looking at who are the men in form, and certainly that man is definitely one of them.
Isn't he just? Well, before we go, we must just offer our condolences to the people of Belgium after the horrendous events there this week. We've developed something of an affinity with the country because of the likes of Kevin Morales and Romelu Lukaku, and our thoughts are with everyone affected by this week's attacks. My thanks to Diamond for joining me this week on the Everton Show Sofa, and thanks to all of you for watching. Enjoy the international break, and we'll see you again next week.